At this time, after Takehiko and Watanabe chatted a few more words, Takehiko entered the topic. Shinwa, I have two things to come to you this time. The first thing is to taste bluefin tuna and taste Yamazaki 50-year-old whiskey. Watanabe smiled slightly, and asked with a smile, what about the other thing? Takehiko smiled and said, don't you want to build a joint venture in China? I will introduce you to a good partner, Miss Warnya Song from the Song Group. After that, Ito pointed at Warnya at the dinner table. Only then did Watanabe see Warnya. The whole person was immediately stunned. He was shocked and said, Song, Miss Song? Hasn't she been reported missing on TV after the accident? Why, how could she be here? Takehiko said at this moment. Miss Song is a distinguished guest in my family. She encountered an emergency this time. Because the matter was more sensitive, she did not disclose her whereabouts. Shinwa, you must keep a secret, understand? When Watanabe heard this, he nodded hurriedly and said solemnly, Brother Ito, don't worry, I will never reveal a word. Ito smiled with satisfaction and said, in this case, you first represent Nippon Steel and sign the cooperation agreement with Ms. Song. Having said that, Takehiko said very seriously, Brother, I'm selling my face. In terms of cooperation terms, we must make appropriate concessions. Watanabe said without hesitation, Brother Ito, since you have spoken, I will definitely give the best discount in terms of terms. Warnya hurriedly stood up at this time and said to Watanabe, Mr. Watanabe, I have been admiring your name for a long time. I am Warnya Song, and I hope you will take care of me in the future. Watanabe nodded and smiled and said, Miss Song, since you are a distinguished guest of Brother Ito, you are naturally also a distinguished guest of Watanabe. In our daily overseas cooperation, we generally strive for holding, but since Brother Ito speaks. Now, let's just keep it simple. You hold 51% of the shares and we hold 49%. What do you think? Warnya's biggest goal in coming to Japan this time is to reach holding cooperation with Nippon Steel. She is completely satisfied with the Song Group holding 51%. She talked to that Hashimoto for so long before and tried to get a 50% shareholding of both parties but failed. So now Watanabe directly agreed to let the Song Group hold 51%, which made her immediately excited. So Warnya hurriedly bowed to Watanabe and thanked, Mr. Watanabe, thank you so much. I believe we, the Song Group, will definitely not disappoint you. Watanabe is also very fine on the road, pointing directly at the Takehiko next to him, and earnestly said, Miss Song, you have to thank Brother Ito for this matter. Brother Ito spoke, I naturally raised my hands in agreement. For Watanabe, he doesn't know Warnya, so he doesn't care whether Warnya owes him favors. What he cares about is letting Ito take his favors in mind, and if he needs it in the future, he will ask Takehiko to get them back. When Warnya heard this, she looked at Takehiko gratefully, and said thankfully, Mr. Ito, thank you for your help. Warnya is indebted. Takehiko is even more of a human spirit. He doesn't want Warnya to owe him a favor. The reason why he helped is for Charlie's sake, so he hurriedly said, Miss Song, in the final analysis, I still have to thank Mr. Wade for everything. Charlie looked at the performance of Takehiko and Watanabe, with a slight smile on his face. He is very clear about the mentality of these two people. It's nothing more than a chain of relationships. Watanabe sells Takehiko's face, Takehiko sells his own face. If that's the case, then just put the favor of both of them on himself. And since it's hanging on him, don't owe it all the time. In order to avoid long nights and dreams, just pay it back before you leave. Thinking of this, Charlie said to Warnya and Nanako, Warnya, Nanako, please avoid me for a while. We men have something to talk about in private. Nanako stood up without hesitation and smiled. Sister Warnya, do you like puppies? Warnya nodded. I like them. Nanako smiled and said, I have a few purebred Akita dogs at home, and 6 little ones who are just 2 months old. They are very cute. They are raised in the East Yard. I will take you there, Warnya said excitedly. Great, let's go now, okay. Seeing Nanako and Warnya go hand in hand, Charlie retracted his gaze, looked at Watanabe, and said with a smile, Mr. Watanabe, Warnya is a good friend of mine. Can you agree to let her work together? I am very grateful for her 51% shareholding. Watanabe replayed the old and new tunes, and hurriedly said, "Oh, it's all because of Brother Ito's face." Charlie waved his hand to interrupt him and said seriously, "Mr. Watanabe, it's better not to look at the face of Mr. Ito. I want you to look at the face of your own body and make this cooperation concession bigger." "What do you think?" Watanabe was surprised. Defeated in the heart. What does it mean to look at the face of my own body? What does it mean to make the concession bigger? While wondering, he asked curiously, "Mr. Wade, what do you mean by this?" Charlie smiled indifferently, and asked with an inscrutable look, "If I read it right, Mr. Watanabe should be very worried about the body now?" Watanabe hurriedly said, "No, I am very healthy, and I often go to the gym to do exercises." The average middle-aged and elderly men do not pay attention to exercise. Charlie nodded and said with a smile, "Exercise can naturally strengthen the body, but everyone is a man, and there is no woman present. I will not hide some words. Mr. Watanabe's 2 years of married life, it should be very uncoordinated, right?" As soon as he said this, Watanabe's expression was horrified, but also full of embarrassment appeared in his heart. "This is the most difficult hidden illness in my heart, except for my wife and me, and the doctor I have visited. No one knows." How could Charlie know this? Takehiko was also a little shocked and subconsciously asked, "Shinwa, you are not too old. Did something go wrong so early?" Watanabe flushed with embarrassment, grabbed his hair in a panic, and smirked. Hey, Mr. Wade is really extraordinary. Can you even see this kind of thing?" Charlie smiled slightly. In the nearly lost ancient Chinese medicine, it is said that people have 3 types of qi, namely blood qi, vitality, and essence. Blood qi governs the outside and vitality is the inside. As for the essence, it is more reflected in the affairs of men and women. Blood qi is strong, and vitality is long, but neither qi has much to do with essence. Don't look at your vitality and blood, but your energy is sluggish. Without the essence, even if your body is strong, you still have strength and energy when doing things with men and women. At this time, Watanabe ignored the embarrassment, and blurted out, "Mr. Wade, since you have such supernatural powers and can see the crux of my body at a glance, I don't know if you can cure me?"